educate all the time about end of life, but the question I always get back is, well, where do I start? This video is for you. I've been a hospice nurse for years. I've been educating for years now. And the things I see when people first get introduced to hospice or that they are terminal is like the fear, the overwhelm, and the confusion of it all. People are overwhelmed from the information they're receiving. They don't know where to start. And we're really lacking in the healthcare system, like a practical guide to help people deal with this as time goes on. So what I did was I took all the information that I thought was the most important things, and consolidated it into one place. So you could look and practically see how to go through this journey, where to start, what to do. So that inspired me to do this, create the Nothing to Fear journal. Now, as many of you know, I have the book, Nothing to Fear. And as I was writing the book, I thought to myself, people need like a practical hands-on guide to read this book and then know where to start. Now, I've been a journaler for years. I don't know if you guys know that. I've literally been journaling since I've been 15. And me writing things out has helped me so much. So I wanted to do just that. I wanted to create this journal to help people have a practical guide that they can go to help all things death related. So I want to show you a sneak peek of like what is in the journal. How is this going to help you? So the table of contents, so I'm going to pull it up and show you kind of like where things are. And you can turn to the table of contents to work that part of end of life that you want to work with. So whether it's death anxiety, becoming more comfortable with death, how to talk to someone dying, what to say, how to help someone who's caring for someone who's dying. And then the last part is the practical considerations. Now, if I'm honest, well, all of them are my favorite parts, but I do feel like that last part, the practical considerations, are a great place to start thinking about what you would want at your end of life. Or you can use that section to talk with your loved one so you know what they want at their end of life. One of my favorite parts of the journal is on page 2. Page 2, you don't have to get very far. And it's called Acceptance Over Fear. It's an exercise that I like to do with my patients and myself, and now with you, where I have you write out all of the things you feel about death, about end of life, either your own or because your loved one is dying. And the exercise is to basically get honest with yourself. I've had so many cathartic moments with myself, with patients, with their families, when we could all get honest about how we feel. And writing it out, to me, writing every little thought down, don't hold anything back, has been one of the greatest gifts I've given to myself and to others that I've worked with. So that's on page 2. Right away, we kind of go there. Now, again, you can start in the journal wherever you want to start. If you don't have a lot of fear around death and dying, or you feel like you have accepted it, maybe that's not where you start. But I like to bring it up because I think it's really important that we start getting honest with how we feel. Even if how we feel is like, I don't want to do this, I'm angry, this is stupid. Saying those things out loud, I'm telling you, helps release that grip sometimes. Part 2 in the table of contents, the advice for dying, is also, I'm going to just keep saying all of these parts are my favorite parts and they're the most important because they really are. So it starts out talking about getting clear with what you'd want at the end of life. How does a peaceful death look to you? Where would you want to be? Who would you want to be there? How would you like pain managed? Or how would you like any symptom managed? Like, what are you willing to tolerate versus what you're not willing to tolerate? It is so important that we get super clear on these things now. Because I'm telling you, when it's happening in the moment, it's hard for your brain to kind of make anything clear. So to have this stuff clear now is so important. I even think this is a great gift to give to your loved ones. So say you are the one that's been diagnosed with something terminal. You filling this out and then giving it to your loved ones who are going to be the caregivers of you while you're in this phase. This gives them a clear picture of what you want and what you would hope to get from them and to get from hospice. Oh my gosh, I just remember one part of the book. There's an amazing part of the book still in the second part of Advice for the Dying about how to ask for help. So many of us, me included, have a hard time asking for help or even knowing how to do it. We think we're being clear, we think we're saying all the right things, but people still aren't helping us. What the heck? So there's a whole clear section in there on how to do it. Exactly how to do it, exactly what to say, so we can get help during this time, and even practicing trying to ask for help. Also in this section, one of my favorite parts, again, you're going to hear me say every part is my favorite because I love it so much. And I think these things are so important, if you couldn't tell. But I give a clear script to talk to your doctor. So how to talk to your doctor about end of life, about your disease progression. I give you a clear script. I think it's really hard to know what to ask your doctors. So to have someone who has worked in healthcare who knows what questions to ask can be really helpful. So I also give like direct scripts and ways to communicate more effectively with your healthcare workers that are working with you. Whew, part 3. Advice for the caregivers. This chapter, if you want to call it a chapter, gives so many tips and tricks on how to do it, on how to let go of some of that need for control, which I know I would feel as well. You know, what does it feel like when you let your person who you're caring for, when you let their body be the guide? When you don't force them to eat, or if you allow them to sleep all day, what is that doing to you? How does that feel? Part of the journal is to help you emotionally deal with that. Questions to ask yourself, how to care for yourself during this time, how to get honest with yourself about how you feel from day to day. I know it's overwhelming. I know it is, because I see this day in and day out. These exercises are ways to become clear with how you're feeling, how you're doing, and what you need. In this section of the book, I also give you a practical guide to kind of look at your loved one step by step, system by system, so you can see how much they're declining. You can kind of see where they are at in this disease progression, things you can monitor if you want to, right? How well are they walking? How well are they eating? How well are they taking care of themselves? Can they shower? Can they brush their teeth? Things like this to monitor will help you kind of see how they're declining and how fast or how slow it's happening. It can give you a better idea on where they're at in the disease progression. Now, I don't think that's the most important thing, but I know how it feels because people tell me, all of my patients' families tell me how you can just feel so out of control because you don't know. You don't know. You don't have any way to understand or quantify what's happening or qualify what's happening. So in that chapter, I give you specific things you can look for that can kind of give you a heads up on how your loved one is doing. And a quick thing to remember too, you're not using this as like, oh, there's a problem now. Oh, they're not eating more, that's a problem. That's not what this is for. This is for you to have a gauge just to see the progression. Not necessarily anything you have to do or fix. It's just for peace of mind for you so you can have an idea of where they're at. I also have a part in this section that talks about the deathbed phenomena, educating you about the different things that may happen that seem a little weird, like your loved one doing the death stare or the death reach, or talking to someone who's not there. Or if they've looked really, really bad and now they suddenly had a good day, right? It's a good way for you to know they happen and to keep track and monitor if they're happening. I think it's a beautiful place to write down, Dad was talking to his mother who had died 10 years ago today, and write that experience down so you don't forget it. That's a beautiful, comforting moment between you and him and whoever he's talking to, right? It's a place for you to write those things down, to reminisce on those things after he's gone. Okay, and last but not least, my favorite part, and this time I mean it, this one is my actual favorite, is the last part of the book. The practical considerations. Baby, baby, baby. I feel like everyone needs these things, okay? This part of the book is going to help you determine either for yourself, if you're filling this out for you, or if you're helping your loved one who's on hospice filling it out. Or even someone who's not on hospice yet, but has some kind of life-limiting illness. You write down question by question, all the different things they may want or not want in detail, So sometimes it's not super clear, right? I would want to go back to the hospital if X, Y, and Z happened, or I would want to be intubated, which means tube into the lungs and put on a machine for 2 weeks. Then after 2 weeks, if nothing looks better, you can take me off. You can put detailed stuff like that in this book. Okay, so details. There's also scripts, again, on questions to ask your hospice company, ways to communicate to your hospice company, questions to ask your hospice company before you sign up with them. So there's very practical things that you can look towards to help you during this time. There's also information about the comfort kit, the comfort box of medication that usually comes with most hospice companies. You know, what's in that kit? What is morphine? What is it for? What's lorazepam? What is it for? What's Haldol? What is it for? So all of those things are in there for practicality reasons. So you can have this go-to guide to look at quickly when you need some answers. And last but not least, there's a place in there for you to put who you want your medical power of attorney to be, who you want your financial power of attorney to be, where your passwords are, where your bank statements are, all the practical things that you need to get done before you die. It's all there. It's all there in this one book. So the book won't be out until June, but it's out for pre-order now. So if you want it, you can get it.